honestly, I don't think I've built or played in a penthouse in probably years in this game. I guess I've just always found them kind of annoying to use because the camera jumps around so much. They're also kind of laggy at times, and you kind of get stuck into a box style-wise because you want it to match the building that it's sitting on top of. So I just don't really tend to gravitate towards building there. But of course, I start planning to have my Legacy Challenge sim finally move to San Myshuno and live in a penthouse for the first time, and then right afterward, The Sims announces a new pack that just so happens to have penthouses in the new world. So unfortunately, we are not building in the new world, we're just playing in San Myshuno for this today. But in this video, we're gonna build a new penthouse for my Nightmare Legacy Challenge. You might have seen this series before on my YouTube channel, but just in case you haven't, I'll give you a brief rundown. I've been playing this save for about 13 generations. It's on short lifespans, so a lot of chaotic stuff happens very quickly, hence the Nightmare title. And now is actually a really good time to start watching because after this video, we're kind of starting episode 1 of the new generation, so it's kind of like a new mini series. And in this generation, my Legacy heir's name is Kay, and his last name is Bell, so his name is Kay Bell, Cable. So he's gonna be an engineer. And I thought moving to the city in like kind of a fancy penthouse apartment felt like it made sense. There are a couple problems with this plan, the most glaringly obvious one being that I have a horse. So let's just dive into the build and I'll start walking you through the plan and kind of how I intend to tackle this situation. So you can see we're playing on the 1 Terendi Tower penthouse. This is the biggest penthouse lot in San Myshuno. It's 40 by 30. It's in the fashion district, so it's right next door to that Planet Honey Pop karaoke bar. And looking back on this might honestly be the first time that I have ever built on this lot. I've renovated the lot that comes here by default, but I don't think I've ever built anything from scratch here. I've used the smaller penthouse more often, and I've also rebuilt things on the lounge penthouse lot, but I don't really ever come to this one. I just feel like I'm not very good at modern builds, so whenever I try to tackle stuff like this, I get a little bit overwhelmed and I feel like it looks really bad. It's just not in my wheelhouse, okay? I am not the best at this kind of thing, and so I don't really try to do it very often. I think that makes sense. A lot of us do kind of idealistic Sims builds, so I tend to like to build stuff in this game that I would maybe want to live in real life, and this sort of house is just so not my vibe. Like, I would never want to live in a big modern box like this in real life, but it is kind of fun to play in The Sims sometimes. So the style here is really big modern box. There's a lot of like cube shapes going on, lots of glass and lots of gray on the exterior of this house. I was kind of trying to mimic the penthouse building. You might see it in the corner occasionally, but this is a really tall building that's basically all glass walls everywhere, and it's very gray and light blue. I tried not to use much blue. Instead, I used a lot of like darker jewel tones. I was kind of trying to go for like a dark gray and emerald sort of vibe with the color scheme. And the actual shape of this penthouse doesn't really match with the style of the building. I was just trying to get the color scheme to match. It's really hard to match the shape with the style of the building because it ends up just being like a big tall box, and I don't really want to have a big tall box. Even the house that was here originally was literally just a big giant rectangle, and it was like 3 stories tall, and there was windows along an entire back wall, and that's fine, but I think it's not as interesting to furnish, and the floor plan's kind of weird. The house here before though was huge. It literally had an indoor basketball court, just to give you an idea of how big it was. Not that this version isn't huge. Our version ends up being 3 stories tall. It's 2 stories for a while, but kind of last minute I add a 3rd story onto the top floor. And this is one of those times that I have to beg you to trust the process because it took me a while to figure this one out, but once I get the floor plan and the shape all figured out, I swear it starts to work. And then that brings us to the horse issue. And this is where you really have to trust the process, okay? Because I tend to do a little bit more chaotic things in the houses that I build for myself to actually play in. When I'm making a build just for the sake of building, I try to be a bit more realistic. I'm making it a little bit more reasonable so it's easily playable for all of you. But when I'm making a house like this for me, my needs are slightly different. So just as an example, obviously the Sims have a horse, they have a robot who lives here, so that entire 3rd story belongs to the robot. Sometimes I need graveyards, sometimes I need things like saunas and all these weird random objects. So it just ends up being a little bit weirder than normal, so I'm warning you now, this house is kind of weird. You've probably at this point also just kind of seen the horse there chilling in the front yard. Let me explain that real quick. So in this Legacy Challenge, the previous generation lived in Evergreen Harbor, My air tinker was trying to be a tinker, so they were doing like all the different crafting and stuff that you can do with eco lifestyle. And believe it or not, we lived on a 30 by 20 lot in Evergreen Harbor in that like factory part of town. And I had a horse on that lot. I had like basically a shipping container looking barn and then one set of barrels, and that's all the horse had. So it sounds bad, but the horse moving here to this penthouse, honestly, it has more space, like significantly more space. We have way more yard space up here in the sky than we did back at the old house. The big issue though is that the game does not want you to have horses on penthouse lots. It even gives you a warning like, hey, the building management says you can't have a horse here. Horses need space. Well, I did it anyway. There are ways around this. So the horse by default will be spawned on the ground, like at the front entrance of the building, because when you get up into these penthouses, there's not like a functional elevator or anything. There's basically an elevator that you have to place, and the elevator works like a spawn point. So when I build a penthouse, I'll put the elevator in the middle of the building and then have like maybe a lobby or something right next to it, like a small room where the trash chute and the mailbox is. And if you have a pizza delivery or like the maid comes, or when your sim gets home from school, they spawn in front of that elevator. There's no animation. They don't like open the doors or anything. They literally just spawn in front of the elevator. Well, the problem is horses can't get in the elevator, so they just stand outside in the front. Honestly, I don't think any pets really work that well in elevators. I get really annoyed when I'm trying to use even dogs in penthouses or in apartments because the elevator doesn't really work that well. But it makes sense that the horse can't use the elevator. I understand that, okay? I get it. But you can work around that with cheats. So if you have the MC Command Center mod, you can use teleport cheats from MC Command Center. So when you click on a sim, like your human sim, you can teleport other sims to them. So with using MC Command Center, I can use those cheats to teleport the horse to my sim, get the horse on the roof, and then everything's fine. It does work. You can play with the horse. You can ride the horse around up here. It completely works perfectly fine. I assume there will be some issues with like reloading the lot and the horse spawning back on the floor sometimes, but honestly, it takes like 2 seconds to cheat them back up. And I hate to be morbid, but I'm playing on short lifespan and the horse is an elder. So it's not gonna be an issue for that long. It will be an issue, but it's a temporary one, okay? I love my horse, I really do, but it is gonna be a short-lived problem, quite literally, because it's short lifespan. But you'll see on that left side of the house, I've put things like the barrels, I've got the jump, I end up putting a horse ball, and then there's like a small little barn section. Oh my god, it's literally just like a bump out on the side of the house, but I put like the horse's bedding in it. I figure once the horse dies, and again, I'm sorry to be morbid, but I'll probably use that as like a skill building room. So I might put like the microscope, big giant thing in there, maybe like a cupcake machine could go in there. I don't know, we've got options. We've got options to extend that room. For now, it is for my horse though. I probably struggled the most with this left side of the house where the barn is, just because it's kind of a weird shape. I also had a lot of issues that I was going back and forth with like the fences on the outside, because it's got a little curved corner of the lot. So I was having a lot of trouble trying to figure out what to place there and how it was gonna work. I didn't know where the windows should go. On the back of the house, I had so much trouble because the back is basically just flat right now. So I was going back and forth a ton trying to figure out how to make that look less bad. Also, with this house, there's not really a front door. Like normally I would put a front door and then what you're looking at would kind of be the back because there's a pool and like a lounge space. But because the front door is the elevator, it's inside. The front door is like in the middle of the building. So it would be kind of hard to place this lot off the penthouse lot. Some people in my Twitch chat were asking like, oh, could I place this in Newcrest? Like, would it function? And it would. Like, you'd have to delete some stuff probably. But again, there's not really a front door. So it's kind of weird to use elsewhere. Unless you want that big open space, the big open sliding door to be the front door. Okay, but now we're like really getting our groove at this point of the build. I added the third floor and I feel like it's finally coming together. The third floor is pretty small, but my favorite part is the rooftop garden that I added up there. I feel like that's kind of a meme. When I do builds, always so many people are like, add a rooftop garden, add a bowling alley, add a bookcase door, add a cupcake machine. Like it's one of those things that's just kind of become a meme on my channel where it's like, you should add this ridiculous thing to the most random build. And 99% of the time it makes no sense. Like most times we cannot fit a bowling alley or a rooftop garden into my build. The rooftop garden's a little bit less ridiculous, but oftentimes it doesn't really fit with the style of house that I'm building. But on this one, I was like, now wait a minute. This can have a rooftop. The whole place is a rooftop. Plus, in this household, I have that robot that I mentioned. When you explain these sorts of things to people that maybe haven't seen it, it sounds so ridiculous. But I've got a robot. Her name is Nina. She's one of the servos from university. So like she's literally a sim in the household. She just looks like a robot. Well, the whole time she's not really had her own bedroom or like her own space. Our last house was pretty small, so she couldn't really fit with her own bedroom there. She kind of had like a basement area for herself in the old place. Well, in this house, I finally went big. So we have a little bit more room to give Nina her own dedicated area. So that top floor becomes all Nina's. And so the rooftop garden, she's a gardener. She wants to be a gardener and a chef, which actually is kind of sad because she's a robot. She can't even eat the food that she cooks. I know. I feel like all she ever wants is to be a human, and she can't do the human things that she desires. But upstairs, because she's a gardener, I put like actual garden planters up there for her. We do have to be kind of careful because we did have an incident a while back where she died in the rain. It wasn't my fault. I reloaded the lot and she had got stuck in the front yard, and then she broke, and then nobody could fix her because she was like stuck off lot. Oh my god, it was a disaster. I managed to go back in time in the save and repair it though, so everything was fine. But this rooftop garden is not covered, so we just have to remember to be very careful to not allow her outside in the rain. Like lock the doors when it's raining so we don't have any issues again. I think the other big issue that we ran into with this build though had to do with money, because we're coming from a significantly smaller house. Like I said, it was a 30 by 20 lot. It was 2 stories, but it also had a basement. So you could say it was 3 stories. The bedrooms in that house were like teeny tiny though, and we really had a significantly cheaper place to live. Thankfully, I had like 65,000 simoleons in the bank that we had been like saving up over the years, because my Sims do make quite a bit of money at their jobs. But moving to this house, this one is like probably 2.5, maybe even 3 times the size of the old house. So obviously it's gonna be significantly more expensive. And even with the extra 60K in the bank, it was really cutting it close towards the end. So I think the house total, we have like 183,000 simoleons saved up. And I gave myself 150 to start with this just to be safe and have some wiggle room. I ended up cheating for money a couple of times. And so we ended up making it around 180K, and then I still hadn't finished furnishing it. So I gave myself a little bit more money, and the finished product here total costs about 200,000. There are some things that we can do to fix that problem though. Like when I move into this house, I'm gonna bring all of my computers, I'll bring the TV, and that'll save us some money. Not a ton, but items depreciate in value when you sell them. So if you buy the TV for like 8,500, you might sell it back for 7,000. So if I bring it, instead of having to buy a new one, that saved me like 1,500 simoleons. So we'll do a fair bit of that. I also added in some things that I definitely do not need. You'll see later on in the build, I put a sauna upstairs. I don't really know what I was thinking with that, but I put a sauna upstairs. So when I move here, I could sell the sauna for now and then just place it again once I have more money. So I think it should be fine. We can scrounge up enough money to come live here. I can sell things like the most expensive shower and put a cheaper one. You know, like we can manage, but I don't want you to get alarmed when I start cheating for money, and then also at the end of the video when I start putting less and less furniture down. I also didn't furnish 2 of the bedrooms. So there's 5 bedrooms total, 1 for Nina, 1 for my Sim K, the legacy heir, and then 1 for his parents, but also 2 extra ones because we're gonna have kids eventually. I didn't furnish those 2 extra bedrooms. I didn't feel like it was necessary because we don't have any kids, no one's pregnant, like we don't need those bedrooms right now. So the finished product on the gallery doesn't have any furniture in those 2 rooms, but I'll explain that more once we actually get to it, because right now I am working on the floor plan. So any furniture that you see me place right now, this is filler furniture, okay? This is just me trying to decide how the layout should work. So we finally got that elevator space put in and then kind of like a fake front door. And then I was trying to lay out where the rooms are gonna go. So we end up having a dining room in that big corner window area. There's a huge bathroom when you first walk in, and then we've got a big kitchen with an even bigger island right next to it. Right in the middle of the house, there's like a patio entry and a big stair landing. And then on the right side, we have the living room, an office, and a gym. And then when you come upstairs, I tried to split up all of the bedrooms. The upstairs was a little bit harder to work with because it's kind of a weird shape. It's a little bit odd trying to split it up into a way that kind of makes sense. I had to have some voids in here so it wouldn't be completely weird. You can kind of see 2 of them right now, one next to one of the staircases and then one in the corner. But in total, there's a pretty big hallway, 4 bedrooms, and then 2 bathrooms upstairs. I also did some kind kind of fun things with the decor. I put double doors into the big primary bedroom. I kind of like the idea of having it be sort of fancy like that. And also, there's a lot of platform stuff going on in this house. The whole place is on a platform. I've got some platform stairs in and out of the house, and I did a lot of split leveling on the interior, maybe more than I needed to, but I kind of liked it. So the whole entrance and like the living space is up a little bit high, and then everything else looks sunken almost. And then moving all the way up to the third floor, this has a couple of rooms. My initial thought was to have a big stair landing, an ensuite bathroom, and then like a closet space because I wanted to put like, I don't know, the decor box and all those little closet things. And then I realized later on that we don't need a bathroom on the third floor because my sim is a robot. She doesn't use the bathroom. She doesn't shower. If she showered, she'd die. So I kind of changed my mind from the bathroom thing, and I ended up putting a sauna up there. I don't know how or where or why, like I don't know where that came from, but I realized that I never put saunas in any of my builds. I don't know if I've ever put a sauna just in one of my Sims houses before, and I've been saying that I want to try to use more of the spa day stuff, so I felt like this might be kind of a fun opportunity to. Only problem is it's like 3,000 simoleons, so the sauna might have to be a future dream. It's in this version of the build, but we may delete it straight away just to be safe. But that's kind of an overview of the layout. For now, we're gonna go back to the outside for a second because I was trying to figure out some last minute details for the patio layout. Now, there's a couple of problems that I really wish I could have done. So you can't really have an infinity pool. When I say infinity pool, I mean like a pool that's right up against the edge. When people have infinity pools in real life, it almost looks like there's no edge and the water just like kind of continues down the side. It's pretty cool looking. You could do that if you put the pool on the second floor and then had like windows all along it, but you can't really do like anything sunken here. You can't really do platforms. You can't put pools in platforms. You literally can't have fountains at all on these lots for some reason. So there's a lot of weird features about penthouse lots that kind of complicate things, and it won't let you put the pool up against the edge of the penthouse. So if you try and drag it to the edge, it doesn't work. It doesn't allow you to. You can't have basements at all. I think that's part of why the fountain thing doesn't work. And you would expect the pool wouldn't work because when you add a pool, it's kind of like you're adding a room into the basement. That room just happens to be full of water. So when you page down into the basement, you can see the pool down there. You can't page down on this lot, so you can't see like the underside of the pool. I don't really mind that. I think it's a fine compromise. I'm glad you can have pools on penthouses. I would be very sad if you couldn't. It is kind of a funny thought when you picture the neighbor though who lives down there. Imagine for a second that you live below these people. They have a pool in the middle of your apartment. It probably leaks because it, you know, can't be safe. But to make matters worse, they have a horse. Your upstairs neighbors have a horse. You think your upstairs neighbors are loud right now in real life? Imagine if they literally had a horse. You're trying to sleep and there's a horse galloping around above your head. There is a horse practicing horse jumps, literally just running back and forth, jumping around above your bedroom. I can't. I think that's everybody's worst nightmare. We were joking about that on my Twitch stream and half the chat was like, you know, I think my neighbor might have a horse because of how loud their neighbors are above them. Honestly, building this was some of the most fun that I've had building in a while. I love to build, but like the silliness of this, I kept calling it a pent horse. You've heard of a penthouse. No, this is a pent horse. And I was like near tears over this dumb idea. The whole thing is dumb. Playing in this house, dumb. The build looks dumb. Everything about it, having a horse in the sky is dumb, but it's fun. And that's all that matters. Anyway, we're finally about to start thinking about the color scheme of this build. And let me tell you, I struggled with this. I tried so many different flooring options for the patio. I went back and forth a ton about what kind of stone we should have. Obviously, I knew I wanted to have some grass for the horse, but for the stone part, I really didn't know what I wanted. I was trying Jungle Adventure. I was trying Spa Day. I mean, I went all over the place. I tried like half the packs just for flooring. I ended up changing my mind and just deciding to leave it for a second and then painting the walls first, because realistically, the wallpaper is probably a more important decision than the flooring, because you can change the floors to match the walls afterward, you know? The walls are a bigger deal. So in the wall coloring, I knew I wanted to have a few different textures. I liked the idea of a stone color and maybe like a lighter stone, like a whitish color stone. So I was gonna use that on the chimney and then as an accent color. I wanted to have just a plain white stucco type of vibe too, because I wanted to lighten it up a little bit. And I'm honestly sorry for this. I'm gonna apologize in advance. Then I found this like stripy wallpaper from the Star Wars pack, and I don't think I've ever used that. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever put that a single time anywhere in any build, but I felt like it kind of worked here, and it's fun to have an excuse to use these random items. So that was kind of like the main design feature, was that stripy wallpaper. It's kind of like a concrete almost, but with some texture to it, and I really liked how it looked. I also added in some of those eco lifestyle, like, I don't know, it's like a wall art thing. I used that as an accent in a couple of spaces, so we have one in the front and then one in the back. It's kind of just like a cool feature wall, I guess. I still don't like the back. I still really do not like how the back looks. I kind of just tried to accept it though. I'm just not gonna look at the house from that angle and it'll be fine. It's honestly not bad. I think I'm just not used to building penthouses, so it feels weird having a big flat wall against the back, even though realistically that's perfectly normal. Like, it's so normal. That would totally happen in real life. There's so many quirks like that in The Sims where I feel like it's so bad, but in real life it happens all the time. In real life, this would probably just be a big box. Like, it would be fine. You wouldn't even bat an eye at that. But when I do it in The Sims, it feels so wrong. But you know, speaking of being unused to building penthouses, if we're getting new penthouses in the new pack, we're probably gonna have to get used to it again, because we're probably gonna be building on these a lot more often. I'm actually kind of curious to hear your thoughts in the comments about them bringing penthouses back to a new world. I don't really know what to expect with like how many or like how big or what they'll be like. When I'm recording this, the gameplay trailer hasn't come out yet, so I don't know if they're gonna show it off more in that trailer, so you might know more than I do. But I guess I'm just kind of curious to know what your thoughts are on them pulling a feature from an old pack into a new pack, because I know that sometimes people are mad when they do stuff like that, and I don't blame them. Like, if you bought a pack just for that thing, it's kind of annoying to have it come to a different pack. But I don't really think that city living needs to have the only penthouses and the only apartments in the game. City living is special because it is like a very dense city, but I think that they can still add apartments and still add penthouses to other worlds, because there's cities everywhere, you know? Like, we don't have to have only one city-inspired world, and I still think that San Myshuno is cool and like stands on its own. I don't think it's bad to get more stuff like this. Admittedly, I don't really care about penthouses. Like, I probably won't even use them that often. I don't think that them being in a new world is gonna change my opinion too much, because I've had penthouses in San Myshuno since like 2017, and I've probably built like a handful of things on them ever over the course of all these years. I think for the most part, I probably prefer penthouses more as a community lot destination than I do to actually live on them, because it's cool to have like a rooftop restaurant or a rooftop bar, maybe even like a rooftop art studio type of thing, cafes. You know, I've built lots of stuff like that over the years, but I'm not super needing to live here for the most part. I guess maybe I'll change my mind once I live here with this legacy, because this is like an experiment. I haven't lived in one in so long that I don't really know, but we shall see. I will actually link my legacy challenge playlist down below in case you want to go and watch the whole thing, and I'll post the next video on Monday. I usually post it on Mondays, so we'll move in and get everything set up and start playing on Monday. And whatever new stuff comes in the new pack, I'll probably try and give those a go. So stay tuned. I'm excited about it. But for now, we're starting on the interior of the house finally, and you can see the inside has been a struggle. We're only starting with the kitchen right now, and even this was like so difficult for me to figure out. I think this is hard whenever you're first starting a build, because you're kind of trying to find your footing with the color scheme. So that first room is kind of like a big deciding factor in how the rest of the house is gonna go. And I knew I wanted to have a lot of dark colors, and I knew I wanted green accents. I don't really have a reason for that. I just kind of like the idea of that deep green color. I don't really use a lot of dark colors. Our previous house was a little bit green tone, but it was very light. It was very light and bright and airy. Lots of like light blues, light greens, pastels, white colors, light wood accents. And so in this house, I wanted to do the opposite and have a lot of like dark colors, dark wood accents, lots of black. And I also wanted it to be super modern. And obviously, again, I'm not really a modern builder, so it's kind of hard for me to do. Although we have had 2 modern houses in a row, because the previous one was kind of like an eco modern house. This one is not so eco. This one probably honestly is bad for the environment. Imagine the bill to like air condition this whole place. Yikes. But anyway, we're moving on to the dining room. And the dining room, I think, was my favorite part of the whole house. I really liked this room. I think once I got this one figured out, it all kind of came together. I used a couple things that I never use in here too. For example, that's the cool kitchen dining table. It is so rare that I use anything from the cool kitchen stuff pack. It's not that I don't like it. I just find a lot of that stuff kind of hard to use. I wouldn't really rank it very highly in terms of stuff packs, but the dining table had that kind of nice silver trim that matched the chairs perfectly. perfectly. So I paired those together. I also got a bar and kind of tucked it away in the corner. I liked the idea of this house being good for entertaining, so I wanted to have stuff to have parties. I'm pretty bad about including those things by default. Like, I don't always think about adding in bars or card tables or even like radios, to be honest. And then I throw a party and it's like, oh, I need to play games with other Sims, I have to dance, and I have to make drinks, and I have none of the things that I need to do that. So I was trying to make dedicated spaces for it inside the house, and I think having a bar in the dining room kind of works. Okay, and admittedly, I still don't have a card table. I still did not put one. I might have to go back and add one in when I move into the house because I feel like I'm gonna need it. But we have most stuff that we need, okay? I've got the other options. Now, I did a couple weird things. I don't know if you're gonna hate this or not, but I was looking through all of the plants and I felt like none of them were big enough and none of them really had a pot that I liked. For example, this movie hangout plant that I'm putting in the dining room corner, I'm obsessed with it. It's huge. I like the big giant leaves. I think it's perfect, but I didn't like the colors of the pot. I felt like it didn't match. And the ones that did match better had like purple leaves and that didn't really fit the vibes. So instead, I went digging around in Debug to find some other planters. And the one that I used is a Debug planter from the rent pack. It's really big. It's like a super oversized planter, but it kind of has that gray tone that we've been trying to use. I don't know if it's too big. It might be like kind of ridiculous in size, but there's something about it being really oversized that I think is kind of trendy. Like, I could picture an interior designer doing something like that. It's okay if it's too big when you're doing it on purpose to like make a statement, right? That's what I've been trying to tell myself. So yes, it is very big, and I will tell you now, I used that same trick a few times throughout this build, so I'm really sorry if you hate it, because you're gonna see it again, and then probably again after that. But I liked it, and I'm the one playing in this house, so it's fine, right? It's actually kind of rare for me to use debug on the interiors of houses. I use a lot of debug for landscaping and for like fencing and exterior details, but I don't always use debug on the inside, with the exception of like, you know, little debug things like artwork or maybe like postcards and stuff. It's rare that I use the fake planters and all that kind of stuff. So I actually kind of had fun digging through debug for this house. One of the other big debug things that I did in here was use a lot of debug art. And when I say art, I guess it's more collectibles, but it looks like art. You know how your sim, when they use the telescope and the microscope, they can get prints? I used some of those space prints around in here because the colors, that dark color scheme with the black frame, it kind of matched. So I put those around the place a few times, so you will see them around. There's actually not that much dark green artwork. I obviously didn't need to have everything be dark green, but I really wanted to have that emerald tone, so I was trying. And there's not as much as you might think. While I'm working on this though, I think this might be a good time to throw out like a little reminder announcement about a charity event that I'm trying to host this month. I was planning on doing another fundraiser for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund around the time that the expansion pack comes out. I did one back in January and I wanted to do it again this month, and it kind of got me thinking that we could maybe try to organize something bigger that's not just me doing a charity stream. So I've been trying to reach out to other creators and kind of post an open invite for an event called Simmers for Palestine. And the idea is to ask people to maybe host one charity stream or talk about it in a video around the time the pack comes out. So from the 25th to the 28th of July, we're trying to host this event, and I can link some information down below and also the donation page down below. Our team goal is actually at $65,000 right now as I'm recording this. It started at $59,000 because I hooked up my previous fundraiser to it, but we've raised $6,000 in just a few days just because of like talking about it. Technically, it hasn't even actually started yet, so that's really, really cool. But I guess I'm mentioning it here just as like a general kind of call out to ask if maybe you are a creator and you want to get involved. You don't have to be a big creator. Anybody is welcome to join us. I'll link all that info down below. I do a lot of charity fundraising over on my Twitch channel. Back in May, we actually raised $600,000 for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and that's just on my channel in just the month of May. And I've really learned over the years about the power of community and the power of how much good that we can do together, because really every dollar counts when you're talking about charity stuff like this, because it really, really, really starts to add up. So sorry to like do my little spiel, but I think it's important to talk about. Back to the build for a second though. We're working on trying to figure out the layout of this first half of the house still. It's honestly embarrassing how much time it took me to figure out where to put the trash can. I know that sounds so silly, but I'm being serious. It was like 10 minutes of me being like, maybe I'll put it here. No, maybe I'll put it here. Just this nonstop back and forth of where to hide the stupid trash can. Usually I put it next to the island, but I had put the food bowls for the pet next to the island, and the other side was too close to the door. So I was like, I don't know where to move this to. It's so silly. I ended up putting it next to the bathroom door, but get this, I actually move it later on. The trash can, the big moving trash can, was like a theme of this build because I was so back and forth about it. I'm honestly sorry to anybody who watched me build this live because that was probably so annoying. Like me doing that and like the constant trying to decide. I'm not really selling my own Twitch stream by saying that, but if you want to check out my Twitch streams, I'll link my channel down below. It's just twitch.tv/lilsimsie. And I also post all of my streams on my second channel called More Simsie. So if you want to check that out, I can link that down below too, because you could go back and watch the 2 streams that it took me to build this house. It's like 7 hours of content building this house. But if you want to watch it, I can link those for you. It's kind of fun to hear the live thought process sometimes, although 7 hours is maybe a little bit too long for anybody to care if you don't already watch streams back. But hey, if you want to, it's there. Oh my gosh, I just looked over at my camera. It's like so much brighter in here than it was in the beginning of the video. It was storming this morning, and so over the course of me recording this, the sky has kind of cleared up and the sun's come back out. So now it's like bright in here again. It looked dark out when I first started. It just goes to show you that it takes a long time to record these ridiculously long speed builds. I've been sat here talking to myself for almost an hour already, and we're only 30 minutes into the video. If only you knew how many times I had to stop and repeat myself or stop and think of what to say. Talking for 40 minutes straight is hard. At least talking for 40 minutes straight in a way that is useful is hard, because I used to do speed builds where I would literally just like stream of consciousness talk, and I don't know how I did that. Back when I was in high school, I would probably do a speed build like this. It'd be 40 minutes and I would just yap for 40 minutes straight and not cut anything out and then just post it. Like I wouldn't even cut out pauses really, because I wouldn't even pause. I just talk so fast and just talk for so long straight. I guess I probably could do that now, but I don't think it would be good. Even this I don't think is that interesting. I mean, maybe you think it is interesting. Hopefully you think it's interesting, but I don't know why I was doing that back then. Honestly, that was a mess. We're finally moving on to the other side of the house now, thankfully. So the middle of the house kind of became like a music room. By that front door underneath the staircase, we've got a huge grand piano. I really like how that looks actually. It's fun to have an excuse to put a piano in a really fancy dedicated space, because most of the time I feel like I'm just trying to tuck pianos away and like hide them in a corner where it fits and just make the most of it. But I felt like in this house we could actually have a real nice piano space. And then we have a huge living room. I put a couple of fun details in here. First, I used a sectional sofa, and I don't normally use those very often, so that was kind of fun to do. I also used this kind of weird square rug that's bright green. This rug was really controversial in the Twitch chat, so if you hate the rug, you're not alone, don't worry. I was trying to use things that I don't use very often, and I never use this rug swatch. Honestly, I don't know if I have ever used that rug swatch before, so I was like, this is my chance, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try to make it work. There was a lot of talk about using the fish tank coffee table, not from me, from them, from the chat. I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it, so I didn't go that far. I did use the new throw pillow that came as one of the daily login rewards. I don't normally use that pillow very often, so it was kind of fun to try that. This is like the second build that I've used it in. I think it helps with how big the sofa is too, to have like some pillow decor on it. And this is where I started digging around through debug looking for the artwork. There's this one painting. It's supposed to be like an up close of cells, and it's from the microscope. So if you use that big giant microscope, you know, it's like 4 tiles wide or something from the base game, you can find those prints. And that one I always think looks like a cucumber. But I used that in here. I put it upstairs above the stairs because I felt like it filled that giant wall pretty well. And like I mentioned, I put a few of those space prints around. One of them is like this bright green galaxy looking thing, and I put that in this living room. I know I went a bit overboard with green, okay? I tend to do that. I tend to like really commit to the bit when I do stuff like this, but I had fun with it, okay? It's fun to have a theme and a color scheme to be using. It was kind of at this point that I was starting to worry a little bit more about money too, because I knew that I had to furnish all of the bedrooms still, and also a lot of the outside space, and I wanted to buy things like computers, and I still wanted to have a gym. So if you're looking at this side of the house, we've got like a staircase down that becomes an office area. So it's open, but I put a bunch of bookshelves and a computer in there. And then in that small closed off room, that becomes a gym. So I was kind of worried that we wouldn't be able to afford the gym equipment. So I just left that room empty for a long time. It was one of the last things that I furnished, but just so you know, it will have gym stuff in there eventually. And that's one of those things that like, if I move into the house and I don't have enough money, I might delete the treadmill and then wait. And then when I get enough money, I can afford to put it back. I don't really like to cheat for money in my legacy challenge. I know I keep saying like cheat for money. Oh, I added this, but I'm actually building this in a different save. I built this in a random save, and then I'll place it back down in my real save and then move them into it later on. So I don't want to have them cheat for money at all. I like to actually have them earn it. I honestly kind of like it when they struggle for money. So like if the bills are way too expensive for us, I'm not mad about that. It sounds bad, but I kind of like it. We're gonna be in for some trouble, I think, when we first start, because our parents are going to die and they're the breadwinners. Like my Sim K has maybe been to 1 day of work total in his life. And so his parents, they're elders, but it's short lifespan. So they probably have like 3 days left, and I'm actually not exaggerating. And I'm gonna have some hard times when I don't have their money coming in. But hopefully once Kay gets married and stuff, we have the robot still working. Hopefully we'll manage to get by once we do all that. But I kind of like the idea of struggling for money. It is bad of me to build this giant house that I know my sim probably can't afford. Like, I probably should have made it smaller, but I was so excited. I went a little bit overboard. We're moving upstairs to the 3rd floor now. You'll see that I kind of decorated this hallway a little bit already. I didn't want to put in all of the footage because I spent way too long on this build, so I cut out a few little things like bathrooms and hallways. But in that hallway, I put the robotics machine so we can use that to actually work on the robot. And then this bedroom that we're decorating belongs to Nina, who is the robot. That really weird thing that you're seeing is a sleep pod. It's from Get Famous. And it works just like a bed. It's just a normal bed. You can woohoo in it. It kind of works like the coffin woohoo when you do. I never use that. It's so hard to find a place where it makes sense. But here I was building a bedroom for a robot, and I was like, no, Nina can have a sleep pod. It's like a recharging pod for her. So I put the sleep pod in there for Nina's bed. I also put some little robot decor. Like, I found those little robot school projects. I put them on the decoration bookshelf. I got a Roomba because I felt like the Roomba could be kind of like her pet. It's like she has a dog, but it's like a little baby robot vacuum. And I've been thinking a lot about Nina's life recently as I've been playing and sort of prepping for what's gonna happen to her, because she's been around for like 3 generations now. If she were a human, she'd be dead, like super long dead. But she's a robot, so she's immortal. And in her life, she's had quite the romantic journey. At one point, I had her date Vlad. That was a huge mistake. I don't know what I was thinking. I kind of felt like, oh, he's immortal, so they could be immortal together. But no, he's Vlad. Hello, Kayla, get it together. You made her suffer for no reason. So she dumped Vlad. Then she got with Yuki, the get-together sim with the blue hair. Well, we liked Yuki. She was nice enough, except one, she's mortal, so she was gonna die. She actually is dead now. But on the day of their wedding, Yuki wanted to woohoo in a hot tub. But Nina's a robot. So what, you just tried to kill her? Like, you tried to murder her on your wedding night? So I divorced her, obviously, because she tried to kill me. And Nina's been single ever since, but I think it might be kind of fun for her to pursue love again. So I've been thinking about maybe Nina trying to go find a robot out in the wild. There's one that I know of that's broken down in front of the horse ranch. That sounds so bad. But what if Nina went and fixed the robot and then like married him? And then what if they tried to have kids? Because I heard, and you might have to correct me because I haven't actually looked it up or tested this, but I heard that robots can still have alien pregnancies. So what if Nina had a baby? Because Nina has raised all of my kids. So what if her dream is to become a mother? She loves kids. I feel like she could totally do something like that. So I've been thinking a lot about her and her life. She's almost more of the heir than Kay is, but this room that we're doing right now is Kay's room. So he's got kind of a fancy primary bedroom. He doesn't actually have a balcony. It looks like there's a balcony, but there's no door. All the doors looked bad, so I just didn't put one. But he's got a really big fancy room. And then this next room, it's kind of a lighter color scheme. It has this like peachy tone. This belongs to Kay's parents. So Tinker, who is the one that was like making candles and fabricating stuff with eco lifestyle, and then Quinn, their spouse, who is the horse person. The same who goes around riding horses and making us bring a horse to the penthouse. They have this small bedroom. They've got a tiny balcony and they have kind of an ensuite bathroom. Their bathroom is like a hall bath and an ensuite bath. I'll show you more when I pop back in a game to give you the tour, but the bathroom basically has 2 doors, but this way it's easy access for them. And nobody else lives upstairs right now, so nobody else needs the bathroom anyway, because the other 2 bedrooms up here are empty. I will furnish them once we have kids, but we have no kids, so there's no furniture in the rooms yet. You can tell I have no money left. We're like really struggling to barely get by. We have a lot left to furnish and no money to do it. This is kind of morbid too, but at least once the grandparents die, I can sell their furniture, so that'll help us as well. We'll have a little bit more room there. We're gonna have some empty rooms for a while. I think that Kay is gonna have 3 kids. I actually thought about maybe even having 4 kids, but I'm not sure if we should. We've got 3 bedrooms and I've got a robot to help me take care of them. So between Kay, his future husband, and the robot, we should be okay. Oh, I do also have a future husband. I kept calling him that on my stream, and the chat was like, do you mean fiance? No, they're not actually even dating yet. My sim K, he has this childhood friend that we will date, but we're not currently together. In fact, they've flirted one time ever. So I'm just planning ahead for who we will eventually marry. I might even have Kay get with someone else first again. I don't know. I'm being real bad with this, but I kind of want to use like the dating features and the online dating from the new pack. So we could probably tell a story, like maybe Kay meets somebody, has kind of a not great boyfriend that he met online, dumps him pretty quick, and then I wonder if I could try and force it so that the best friend shows up on that dating app, because that could be kind of a cute story. We're like, oh, they were friends for so long, never thought about being together, and then here they are, they went on this blind date from the dating app, and oh, now they're together. It could be kind of cute, right? I'm just thinking. Let me know in the comments what you think about that, because I'm just throwing out some ideas here still. And I feel like that could be kind of cute. So now, anyway, we're doing some last minute touches outside. I really wish that I had a bit more money to do some outside stuff. I think that once we get some more money, the outside is going to be one of the first things that I try to add to. There's just so much room. So I feel like we could try and fit a hot tub in sometime. We have this really nice space for like a big outdoor kitchen, outdoor dining area. I'd like to get some playground equipment for kids in the future. We could probably have like a hopscotch thing. I mean, there's just so much stuff that I want to put out here that I feel like I couldn't do yet. So stay tuned, because we're going to do a renovation and it's going to be really good. But finally, we are wrapping up the speed build. I'm just putting in some finishing touches. We have like 30 seconds left of sped up footage. So what I'm going to do next, once this finishes, is I'm going to pop into the game and I'm going to show you where I placed it. And I'm also going to show you around, because I cut out a few things. I didn't show you the hallways and I didn't show you the bathrooms. And I also want to give you a proper tour just so you can see kind of how it lays out. Because when it's sped up, it's hard to really make out what's going on a lot of the time because I'm zipping around so much. So with that being said, let's pop back into the game real quick. So I built this on this lot in San Myshuno, and unfortunately I have to get rid of this guy real quick so I can place it down. It's the one Terendi Tower penthouse. There's a couple penthouses in this world. We also have this one, the Stargazer Lounge, and this one behind my face cam, this Fountain View penthouse. These two are both the same size, but this one feels like 10 times fancier to me, and the other one's kind of small. And I think that's why I never use this one. I just never ever touch it. I think the only time I've played here was in my Black Widow challenge when I moved into it, and I did a slight renovation in that, but I didn't like completely rebuild. This is what it looks like by default. So you can see what I mean by it just being a big giant box. Like they literally just kind of followed the shape of the corner of the lot. They have a huge patio, which is kind of nice. They also have these weird like triangle spaces. They've got a really fancy pool up there. On the inside, they have a basketball court, huge kitchen. This is like a double bathroom sort of situation. I don't know. It's a really weird place. There's a reason that I don't really ever come here. It's not really for me. So I bulldozed this and I decided to build my own. This is what the lot looks like when it's empty. And on the gallery, you're looking for Legacy Challenge Penthouse. I'm gonna place it. I probably should have called it the Pent Horse, but you know. It is what it is. It's too late now. And this is what it looks like from the outside. Oh my God, lag. Yikes. We're not in for a good start. Okay, here we go. This is what the front looks like. I'm actually really happy with like the angles of this lot and how all of the roof line turned out. I'll give you kind of an overview of the front yard first. So we've got a huge pool. I've got this pergola, and underneath it, I put a grill and a bar. There's an outdoor dining table. I've got a fire pit. This is one of those invisible dance floors, so we can have parties out here. I do have some lounge chairs. And then around this side, this is where all the horse stuff goes. So I've got a horse ball. We have barrels. There's jumps. This is where the horse's barn is, so they can sleep in here. I also realized after I put it on the gallery that the horse cannot technically get over here onto this side without jumping over the horse jump. So I might end up moving the food over there for when I actually play. And it comes with some beautiful horse poop on the gallery, if you're looking for any. Kind of around this side, I have some vertical planters because I do have some meat walls in this household, and then I have a lot of open grass. This is where I figure I'll probably put some of the kids' stuff eventually. And then when you come inside, I guess we'll walk up from these staircases into this like main middle space, but really the real entrance is right here. So this elevator is where your Sims will all spawn, and then you've got a front door right there. This is the mailbox, and then this is a trash chute. So they'll use this like an outdoor trash can. It's like infinite. It doesn't get full or anything, and their mail come right here. When you walk in the front door, we've got a small little entryway, so there's like a little table and some mirrors. You might also notice this little pet door. I put the pet's litter box behind that. I honestly don't know if it works like this. I haven't tested it. If it doesn't work, I'll just move it around. It's fine. But I kind of like the idea of hiding the pet door underneath there, so I tried it. We also have a bathroom down here. This is, I didn't notice that was clipping. That's embarrassing. Ignore the hay, okay? This bathroom is kind of weird weird because I used a really funky tile, but I was trying to be interesting. So I put that one here. This is my favorite room, the dining room with the huge dining table and the plant. We've got a little built-in bar. And then down this way, we have the giant kitchen, emphasis on giant. I've got an extra appliance so we can do some cooking and all the stuff that you could possibly need. There's pet bowls here. And this is where I ended up moving the trash can to in the Great Trash Can Saga. I actually decided to add a wall right here, so I put the trash can in front of it, so that really helped. And then when you come up the stairs, we've got a small little half bath right here. Again, kind of funky with the tile in the walls. But I was trying to make the bathrooms interesting. Oh, and through this doorway, I put the candle maker because my sim Tinker will be using that. I might get like a bubble blower or something eventually to put there, just some more of the city living stuff. And then down this way, we have the piano. We've got a seating area. There's lots of picture frames on the wall for my sims to put their family photos in. And we've got like bookshelves and stuff. Here's the big staircase to go upstairs. We'll come back to that because down here we have the living room. This TV is ridiculously expensive, but I have one of these at the old house, so it's fine because I can bring it with me. I really like this weird artwork too. It's kind of fun. And then when you come down these stairs, we have the office space. I don't know if it's very practical to have it just wide open like this. There's not a lot of privacy or quiet, but I love the corner bookshelf and I love the big table with the desk and computer. Through here, we have a little tiny gym. This is stuff that I may end up deleting and having to replace, but we'll see. And then when you come upstairs, in this hallway, I put a chess table. I got a fish tank. There's another bookshelf. This part is kind of like a weird little shelf section because I intend to put collectibles there because I've got quite a few things that I've collected over the years. So I'll put it on display in this little nook. Down this hallway, we have the first empty bedroom, and this one actually has a balcony. I also put a little closet for the decor box right here. And then we have the double doors into the primary bedroom. This one has less of a green and more of like a blue jewel tone going on, but I love the corner window. Like the view from up here is wild. And they also have a huge ensuite bathroom. Weirdly, the bathroom has the balcony access, but I put a yoga mat out there, which is kind of nice to have. And then on this side of the house, we have the bedroom that belongs to the grandparents. So they kind of have that eco lifestyle vibe with some of the crafted furniture because I was pretending that one of the Sims made it. Then we have a small balcony. They also have access to this little bathroom right here. And then a second empty bedroom. Those will both be for future kids. And then when you go upstairs again, this is where we have the robot stuff. So I have the robot crafting station in the hallway. And then when you come through this door, we've got Nina's robot bedroom. She's got a computer and like her sleeping pod. And then she has a huge balcony and this has all of her plants on it. I'm actually kind of obsessed with how these fairy lights look. I really liked this part. And then I also put a sauna. So I had originally thought about putting an ensuite bathroom here, but again, Nina doesn't need one. She's a robot. So there's a sauna instead. I think she also can't use saunas. I think she might die in there too, but the other Sims can use it. Although they can also die in there. Maybe that's bad. I don't know. But it's fun to have. And that, my friends, is the fully finished house. It's huge. It's ridiculous. It's way too expensive. And I am very excited to play in it. It's actually kind of rare that I play in the houses that I build on my YouTube channel because I build so much, but my Sims don't need new houses that often. So it's fun to get a chance to build something that I'm actually going to use, especially when it's this customized for the Sims in the household. I know it's kind of weird to watch if you maybe haven't seen the Legacy Challenge, but if you want to watch that, I'll link the playlist down below. Stay tuned for Monday for the first episode. Thank you for watching, and I'm gonna go and I will catch you all tomorrow. Okay, bye everybody. Oh my goodness, I have been talking too much. I just yap and yap in these speed builds. I'm so sorry.